All right, let's talk about that chaotic jump from writing a draft to actually landing it in a journalist's inbox. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are mapping out the exact life cycle of a press release inside Omnicon's headless CMS. We're going to see how it brings that whole shebang under one unified roof. So here's our game plan for today. Section 1, your AI writing partner. 2, mastering AI prompts. 3, building your press rolodex. 4, sending the release. And finally, Section 5, tracking distribution success. Let's get right into it. Section 1, your AI writing partner. Now, right off the bat, we've got to set some realistic expectations here. The AI built into the Omnicon editor, it isn't magic. Think of it more like a dedicated writing partner. You literally can't just hit a magic go button and expect a Pulitzer-worthy masterpiece to pop out. It completely relies on the context you feed it. You've got to give it the raw materials, like your core outline, key bullet points, or a messy rough draft you want polished. That context never gets seen by your readers, but it absolutely does the heavy lifting to guide the AI. Okay, this next part is a real game changer. It's called AI reference data. I want you to picture this as the permanent, always-on brain for your specific project. Instead of annoyingly copy-pasting your brand style guide into every single prompt you write, you just drop it into this persistent field once. From then on, it quietly hums along in the background on every single generate call. It basically ensures that things like your specific industry jargon and your non-technical tone are always respected. Huge, huge time saver. So what does this look like in practice? Well, there are 3 main workflow patterns you're going to use all the time. First up, you can outline the whole skeleton, set your reference data, and generate it section by section. Or option 2, draft a really rough, ugly cut yourself and let the AI refine it. But honestly, my absolute favorite is option 3, expanding from notes. You just rapid fire some bullet points onto the page, tell the AI, hey, turn this into a 500-word section, and boom, it is light years faster than staring at a terrifying blank screen. All right, moving right along, section 2, mastering AI prompts. This perfectly illustrates what I'm talking about. The difference between a bad prompt and a good one is literally night and day. If you just tell the AI, write about idempotency, you are going to get a totally useless generic paragraph. But look at the good example. Draft 400 words introducing the concept to an engineer who knows HTTP but has never written a retry loop. Wow. See the difference? You're instantly giving the AI the exact razor-sharp boundaries it needs to actually be useful. And those boundaries really come down to 4 crucial pillars. Whenever you prompt, you must specify the length, you have to identify your target audience, you need to provide concrete examples, and you've got to dictate the tone. If you nail these 4 pillars every time, you completely transform this tool from a random word guesser into a highly precise writing instrument. But hey, let's keep it real for a second. We do need to talk about limitations because human review is absolutely mandatory. Especially when you're dealing with deep technical content, the AI is notorious for confidently spitting out things that are, only almost right. It won't perfectly capture your exact conversational rhythm on the first try, and it definitely doesn't know any outside facts that you didn't explicitly give it in the context. At the end of the day, you are still the editor-in-chief, for sure. Okay, section 3, building your press Rolodex. So the article is drafted, it looks great, and it's published. Now we pivot to the distribution side, starting with your contacts. Let me tell you, a meticulously managed contact list is absolutely the biggest factor in actually scoring media coverage. Treat these data fields like pure gold. Don't just tag a journalist beat as tech. That's way too broad. Go specific, like developer tools for enterprise. Use that notes field aggressively to track things like their embargo preferences. Be sure to clean your list quarterly based on hard bounce rates. And please, honestly set their preferred language. You do not want to be that person blasting Japanese releases to an English-only market. Once your contacts are in there, you've got to group them into distribution lists. This saves you the massive headache of hand-picking recipients every single time you launch a campaign. It's super simple to set up in the dashboard. Just pull your contacts into a named list, and suddenly all your future sends become a glorious one-click process. Now, how you slice and dice these lists is totally up to your specific strategy. You could divide them by beat, maybe by geography, or even by tier. Like if you want to send embargoed news to top-tier outlets a full 24 hours early. You can even spin up quick one-off lists for a quarterly push. And here's something really cool. Do not stress over overlapping audiences. If a reporter happens to be sitting on both your tech press list and your top-tier list, Omnicon handles it. It automatically deduplicates them during the send, so they only get one email. Pretty neat, right? All right, the moment of truth. Section 4, sending the release. We have our published article, we have our targeted lists, so let's actually send this thing out. This flow is incredibly straightforward. You grab your article, pick your lists, and review the subject line. But I really want to highlight step 5, writing a custom message. This feature is brilliant because it means you aren't just blindly firing off a web link. You retain full control over the presentation, allowing you to add a short, highly targeted pitch framing the specific angle for that exact list right at the top of the email. And whatever you do, pay attention to the subject line. This is your make or break moment. It's the literal key to your open rates. Never, ever just accept the default article title without applying some strategy. Lead with what's actually new. Please skip the outdated jargon. If you put press release with a colon at the front of your subject, you're basically buying a one-way ticket to the trash folder. Name your company so journalists can easily triage their inboxes, and keep the whole thing under 60 characters so it doesn't get awkwardly chopped off on mobile screens. Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Section 5, tracking distribution success. So you've clicked send. What happens next? Well, we have to face a slightly harsh truth here, which Omnicom actually states right in their own docs. Omnicom is not a CRM. It's not tracking opens or clicks or building a fancy deal pipeline. It's strictly 100% just tracks whether your email successfully hit the destination mail server. Because, actually securing the coverage, that still requires the human work of relationship building, researching, and following up. But the data it does give you is critical. You'll see recipient statuses fall into 3 buckets: pending, sent, or failed. Now, because emails get processed asynchronously as the mail queue drains, you'll want to just grab a coffee, come back, and reload the page after a few minutes to let things settle. If you see a failed status, that almost always just means you've got a bad or outdated email address on file. The golden rule here is don't just glance at this data and forget about it. Use it. If a recipient failed, do a little digging. Did that journalist move to a new publication? Use this snapshot to surgically prune your Rolodex for the next round. It's a fantastic, undeniable source of truth to audit exactly who got what. You can even use it over time to compare your send patterns. Like finally proving to your boss that those Friday afternoon email blasts are just vanishing into the weekend void. So let's wrap this up. Think about your current setup. You're probably bouncing from a standalone AI tab over to a word processor, then digging through some chaotic spreadsheet of contacts before finally dumping it all into a separate email marketing platform. Now, imagine bringing that entire workflow under the single roof of Omnicon. If your tools finally stopped fighting you, how much time could you save to just focus on the actual story?